Welcome to episode 162 of the Necronama.com. The Necronama.com is proud to announce that we've partnered with the Horror Writers Association and the Stanley Hotel and Gemma Amore and Laurel Hightower to bring you the official StokerCon pre-party. We want you to join us on May 10th, 2022 at the iconic Stanley Hotel, where horror authors including Stephen Graham Jones, Gabino Iglesias, Haley Piper, Gemma Amore, and Laurel Hightower will be reading some of their works. Additionally, the No Sleep podcast will perform a 1-hour live version of their award-winning horror fiction podcast. There will be meet and greets, ghost hunting, and a lot of drinking with authors. You're not going to want to miss it. A link to ticket information and room packages is available in the liner notes of this episode. The Necronama.com is now a proud affiliate of Libsyn, one of the top podcast hosting networks in existence. See this episode's show notes for our unique promo code to get up to 2 free months of podcasting services with Libsyn. Get your show on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Get critical audience-building stats and all the support you need to sound your best. They even do video. Bring your podcast to life and have your voice heard here, there, everywhere with Libsyn. Check our show notes for the unique promo code and get podcasting. Now in their 18th year, Fright Rags has been bringing you the best in horror apparel and accessories since 2003. Offering a wide range of products for your favorite creature features, slasher flicks, and cult classics. Officially licensed collections include titles like John Carpenter's The Thing, The Evil Dead, Creepshow, Jaws, the Halloween franchise, and so many more. Head on over to fright-rags.com. Make sure to sign up for their SMS and email newsletter to never miss a drop. Listeners get 10% off when they use the code NECRO10, all caps, at checkout. I am James Sabata, horror author, screenwriter, co-host of the podcast you're listening to right now. And in space, they cannot hear you.
And I'm Don Guillory, author, historian, educator, co-host of the podcast. And I was really disappointed because this is not the sequel to Malcolm X I was expecting.
No, this is a movie about another white guy going to space for absolutely no reason.
That's deep. I love it. I love it. Love
so Cameron Blackwell is here today.
Hello.
Welcome to the show, man.
Welcome.
Thank you very much for having me. I am so happy to be here.
We're excited to have you. Cameron and I met in person at TusCon this past year.
And the
year before that. That's true. But this year, I went to your panel because I wanted to stalk you down to bring you on the show. And I exit out of the panel because you're talking to somebody at the end and I'm waiting in the hall. And you ran up and you were like, oh my God, I got to talk to you. And I was like, I'm here to talk to you. And it was just a great moment. And then you mentioned one of my favorite films of all time, which is why we're here today with this super deep analysis of one of the most important films ever made.
Most important. When people ask me what my favorite horror movie is, it used to be the Saw franchise. And then I remembered this movie existed. And then like, oh my God, Jason X. No, it is by far the best, most important horror movie everybody's got to see.
Don, I found my soulmate.
Yes.
You know what? It's all right, man. It's okay. I understand, but, people come in and out of our lives.
Jeez.
So
you had to get out. Gosh.
Things change. Oh, Get Out. Wow, there's another reference.
This has been going on nonstop since before we started recording. He's just busting me on all kinds of things I'm saying incorrectly today. So
that means it's going to be a good show. It's going to be a good show.
Right? So Cameron, why don't you tell our listeners a bit about yourself, man?
My name is Cameron D. Blackwell. What's the D stand for? The D stands for you. Oh, I've been waiting forever to say that. I am a writer. I guess that's all I am now. I used to be an actor, but now I'm just a writer of gay sci-fi, horror, and fantasy fiction. I've been writing since the age of 4th grade, because that's an age. God, was it an age? So I've been writing since I was like 9. And I went to school at the University of Arizona for creative writing and British literature, not knowing that I didn't need a degree to be a writer. So yay, student loans.
Right? Oh, man.
It was an awful experience as far as the creative writing degree was concerned. But everything else was great. And I decided that as a little Black kid reading like fantasy stories, there were never people like me in these stories. Did I mention I'm Black? I don't know. Nobody cares. Surprise! So there's no characters for me in any of these, stories. And so I decided, you know what? I'm going to write books for people like me. And then the whole gay thing happened. I'm like, okay, awesome. Like, further absence of people like me. So I'm making a space for people like myself. But you won't catch my Black ass in space in these movies. No, that's not happening.
Amazing.
I have thoughts about that.
You hit one of the things that I regret about my own life, which is getting a degree in creative writing. I assume your experience was semi-close to mine in this regard, but creative writing where I was didn't teach you jack shit about submitting or contracts or publishing or book design or layouts or graphic design or any of these fucking things. And people, I get it. You want to go into writing? Great. If I had it to do over, I would go into psychology or criminology, like just something, sociology even, something to have like more of a background in what I'm writing about. Is that a pretty fair statement for you too?
That is a very, very fair statement. I was going to go to school for psychology, and then I let this woman that I worked with for about 2 weeks talk me out of it. Like, I didn't know her from Adam. She's like, oh, don't get a psychology degree. Like, nobody uses that. So I'm like, oh, I guess I better get that degree in creative writing then. Bitch. Bitch.
That woman is married to somebody who owns a student loan company, and she laughs every day.
That woman's name? Sally Mae.
Oh. Betsy DeVos. Oh. Anyway, so.
And her boats, right? She lives with a boat. Fuck her.
You're going to fit in well here.
With a canoe.
Right? That's what we'll fuck her with, the canoe.
Exactly.
So, yeah, man, like just you kind of walked us through it before we came on the air, but I was going to ask you why you picked this film, but I'm more interested in it. Tell me about the first time you saw this film, because I think the two go hand in hand, but it's a fascinating story.
So the first time I saw this movie was, IMDb says it came out in 2002, but Rotten Tomatoes says 2001. I don't know. But I went and I seen it in the movie theater. My friend Ruben is a huge horror movie buff, and I was not about them. But so when Jason X came out, I had never seen any of the Jason movies because they were far too scary when I was a kid, or at least so I thought. So he convinces me and my boyfriend at the time to go see Jason X with him. And I'm like, okay, this is going to be so hokey. I'm going to take some notes so I can read them to Ruben at the end of this movie about how So I sat there in the theater with a notebook and a pen, just scribbling down notes the entire time. From the moment I saw the first Black person, how long it took him to die. I was surprised that there were 2 in this movie. So I'm like, okay, so they're all going to die. And he's just like, dude, just watch the movie. I'm like, no, I can't. I just can't. And it was just as ridiculous as I thought it was going to be. But little did I know that I was going to enjoy it so much. Little did I know that this was going to be my favorite horror movie of all time. So I owe this to Ruben. Ruben Grace, thank you.
That's so awesome. So Don, what was your first time watching this?
Oh God, I think I actually saw it in the theater when
I'm
it came
the only
out.
one who didn't. Damn it!
Really?
Yeah,
Well, it was either in the theater or it was on DVD. But I know I saw it not too long after it came out, so it would have been within that first year. I'm pretty sure I saw it in the movie theater because this was again during that period where I saw whatever was out. And I, if something was new, I tried to catch it that weekend. So I guarantee you I saw this at the movie theater, and I somewhat recall some of the reactions, but I don't think there were too many people at the showing I went to. Like the one-liners in this movie, no pun intended, kill me.
They're so terrible. It's so great.
They're so amazing. They don't suck on so many levels.
Mine was, I was in college when it came out, and I was in a small town and we didn't get it.
Okay.
And so I couldn't go see it. And I don't remember what was happening when it came out, but for whatever reason, I didn't go to any of the bigger cities or anything to go see it, which normally I would have. And so the first time I saw it was just a rental, and I fucking loved it. Like, I went in, I'm a huge Jason guy. I will tell you straight out that if you think that this movie sucks compared to other Jason movies, you are a fraud living in nostalgia, because the other movies are not good either, and we love them anyway, with the exception of 4. 4 is pretty fucking good. But so like, when I finally saw this, I was fascinated by what they did with it, because on paper, this should be a movie that I dislike very much. It takes one of my favorite killers. It puts him in a setting that I don't normally enjoy. I'm not a big sci-fi guy. I don't totally dig it. Even like Alien. I enjoy Alien, but I don't. It's like an exception, right?
Right. It's a horror movie first and a sci-fi film second.
Yeah. But for some reason, this worked for me on every level. I love the kills. 2 of my all-time favorite Jason kills are in this movie. Yep. And he's got like 120 kills. So that says more than it sounds like it does, and holy shit, like, these are the kills I never stop thinking about. The fucking liquid nitrogen kill.
Oh,
I've been thinking about it since the first time I saw it, and the sleeping bag, it was a redo because they did it in 7, I think. And then, he does it here with 2 people, and it just made me love it even more that they did it again. So yeah, I love the kills. I personally absolutely love Super Shredder Uber Jason. And I want to see more. I want to see the craziness that happens at the end when he lands on the new planet. I want to see everything that happens after that. Luckily for me, there were novels, and I can tell you about them in a bit. But I would love to see them come to the screen because they're so fucking insane. But yeah, I love this fucking movie. So there we go.
And I'm glad that this was the first Jason movie I had ever seen, just because it's like the pinnacle of the other Jason movies in comparison. Like, I didn't see the first 2 Jason movies until about 2 years ago.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
So I was like, this is fine. Like, if you're thinking about classic and nostalgia, but it's no Jason X.
I love telling people that, and they get so mad. I love this movie so much. You both know this, I think, but when my daughter was not born yet, I campaigned so hard that if she was a boy, I was going to name her Jason Xavier. And then my wife realized why I was doing this.
Oh. You should have done it anyway. I do know a woman named Jason, so nice. It's not far-fetched. She could totally be Jason. It could have happened.
So we're going to jump into the movie, but I want you guys to know that if there's some crazy shit that happens in the first novel, which is the novelization of this movie, I'm going to throw it in because it's so amazing. And we get a lot of backstory that you wouldn't expect to get. So with that said, Cameron, you can lead the way, man. You're the guest. We can go random chaos mode if you want. We can go chronologically, however you want to do it. Lead the way.
Oh my goodness. All right. So my first note for this movie is all of this fuckery could have been avoided if they had just listened to Rowan. It's another one of those episodes of, do we listen to her? She's got their breasts. No. She doesn't know anything. Not only did they fuck themselves up by not listening to her, they fucked up the next century and a half, like 4.55 centuries, because they refused to listen to her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that sounds right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And of course it is. You know, not only, I mean, I don't even know if she has a title of doctor, but like, I'm just noticing like this lack of respect from David Cronenberg and whoever. Did you know that the sergeant that walks up with Dr. Vemmer is David? Is it David Cronenberg? Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I did not know that until today. I'm like, oh, that's totally fitting. I would definitely love to see him impaled by whatever the fuck that was.
Isn't that weird?
Oh, yeah.
I didn't remember that at all. And when I was watching, I was like, wait a fucking minute. What? Then I looked it up and I was like, oh my God, it is. So yeah, very strange.
And I remember writing this note specifically when I was watching it in the theater, when the door gets busted down and Sergeant, whatever his name is lying on the door and the gun nearly hits him in the chin. It's like, that is such a video game like setup right there. And she doesn't pay any attention to it at all. Like, this doesn't look weird and awkward at all. Let me just pretend it's not there.
Yep.
And have this conversation with you like it's totally normal. Like it's a normal Tuesday. Oh, bring your gun to work day and wear it on your chest. I don't know. I just thought it was very weird.
Yeah, so did I. Everything about this opening scene is kind of textbook from other movies, but then there's just little stuff like that make me question things. And I'm like, this could have been avoided. Yeah. Like even just like, like maybe Rowan should get the hell out of there. That's part of it, you know?
Yeah, like, why did she stick around? She's like, okay, not my circus, not my monkeys. Okay, have fun. Okay, bye.
You guys aren't listening to me anyway. I'm going to go ahead and head out. So
yeah. Exactly. I mean, exactly. She should have just fucking left. Like she's the expert. Why would they not listen to her? Just because she doesn't have 5 stars on her uniform or doctor in front of her name. I don't know.
This seems like one of those cases where maybe she does have doctor in front of her name and they just refuse to even say it, you know?
Exactly. I was wondering about that. It's like, okay, just how condescendingly, not only do they just call her Rowan, but like just the way they say it, with it, like disdain dripping from their tongues. It's just like, yeah.
That's weird. Like all these guys, questioning a woman and questioning her qualifications. That just sounds like something very recent.
Yeah.
It's not that recent, considering that this is clearly airing on May 9th and not,
no, I'm saying
March
it's
when we recorded it.
I'm saying this is 2010. Like it's 2010
right?
when this is supposed to be, right?
Yes.
But yeah, it's still one of those things that you see, you got equal pay that's being fought for, where, this is one of those things that gets thrown into the film where it's definitely representative of, I mean, with it being 2001, it's still 90s culture, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're looking at women being talked over, not being considered, not being listened to, not being paid equally. And if you look at it from a 2010 standpoint of when the film is supposed to start, and then a 2022 position where we are right now, you're like, nothing has changed. Not much has changed at all.
Not even a little bit.
I mean, we have a female vice president, but even then, when she was running, there were questions about her qualifications as to what she could do, or even now they're like, well, I don't. If something were to happen to Biden, I don't know if she would be able to step in. And I'm like, what would make her any different than the inordinate amount of vice presidents before her, right? Especially one that spelled potato with an E.
Oh,
Right.
I remember that guy whose name is an animal. It's an animal name with an E. I guess when you quail, everything has an E at the end, regardless of whether or not it's needed.
Yes.
Exactly. Man, it's crazy though. Like just on that topic really fast. It's crazy how when we were younger, the slightest mistake cost you your entire political career. Like
Howard Dean.
Howard Dean, thank you. That's the guy I was trying to come up with. He just makes that weird sound. That's it. That's all he did wrong. And he doesn't get to, they're like, oh no, you're fucking out of here, weirdo who made a sound one time.
Yeah, cheering up the crowd. Or hyping up the crowd.
We're like, how fucking crazy can you get? What happened? But yeah, I don't know.
So I noticed, okay, so not only could this all have been avoided if they had listened to Rowan, like Rowan, once again, it's like, no, once she makes it into space, she's still in that position of nobody's listening to her.
Right.
Professor Lowe is just like, oh, I've got this under control. I know what I'm doing. They know what they're doing. People are dying left and right. And she's like, you need to do something because I'm new here. I'm respecting the boundaries that I think exist here. So I'm not just going to bulldoze your whole operation, but obviously someone needs to do something. And he's like, oh, no, fine. I'm going to make money and blah, 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 blah. And the bitch dies. And only then is she able to do anything about everything.
Right. I just love how Professor Lowe makes that phone call like, oh, we've got 2 specimens that we were able to recover. One's a female, and of course the pilot is like, oh, is she sexy? But the guy he's talking to,
she's clearly single. Everyone she knows has been dead for 400 years.
Yeah, exactly. But as soon as he says, oh, well, the other one, it was labeled Jason Voorhees, and the media's like, Jason Voorhees? And my wife, this was the first time she watched it because one, she didn't believe that the movie existed up until a couple of days ago. Because I refer to this movie as Jason in Space. I hardly ever call it Jason X. I normally just say Jason in Space. Mm-hmm. And Cameron hit on something that is very cultural, is that people of our background typically don't refer to Friday the 13th as Friday the 13th. It's Jason 1, 2, 3, 4. Right. Jason.
Yeah.
And the same thing with Nightmare on Elm Street. It's Freddy. It's not Nightmare on Elm Street. They're all the Freddy movies. The same thing with Child's Play and Chucky. So when I had her sit down and watch, I'm like, this movie exists. It's for real. She's like, you're bullshitting. I was like, yeah, he goes to space. How the fuck did he get to space?
How did any of them get to space?
Yeah. He started a website selling books. Then he took advantage of authors for decades. Then he raked in the money and he built a penis-shaped machine. And then him and number 2 and Frau Barbissina went into space.
It could have been worse.
All their friends.
He could have been like some weirdo who inherited billions of dollars from his emerald mines and slave labor. But anyway, when I told her this, we started watching it, and when the guy made the comment like Jason Voorhees, and she's like, yeah, like you fucking know who he is. It's been 400 years. You know who he is. And I joked with her. I was like, well, maybe he has like some neural implant where he can immediately like Google the information. But the guy's like, Jason Voorhees? That guy was a mass murderer, he killed over 200 people. And at that moment, you're kind of like, you know what? I'm going to suspend all belief. I'm going to have fun with this movie because there's no moment where, yeah, we can bring up Jack the Ripper, right? You can bring up Richard Ramirez. There are a lot of people that you could bring up, but it's going to take you a minute. If it's been 400 years, 450 years, whatever, you're going to stop and pause for a second. Like Sirhan, what the fuck did he do?
Right.
And then it's going to be, oh shit. Yeah, that's the guy. Cause this guy's reaction is immediate. It's, he could be worth a lot of money.
And to put it into perspective, Jack the Ripper was 137 years ago. We're talking 455 years.
Right. And so I'm gonna watch this movie again, and I have a couple of questions that nobody should be asking. I have a couple written down, but like I really want to dive into the list of questions that, for someone who did not just suspend their disbelief, like one of my questions is, what are those giant screws even for?
They're for boring into the land. That's the only thing I could go because of Armageddon. It had to have been for like when they actually land on a planet and to like look for mineral. That's the only thing I could see it as, because I asked the same question when they're polishing them or cleaning them or whatever when they first get on the ship. I'm like, well, maybe
I shouldn't even care about that, but like,
no.
It's obviously like they made a huge point to show us that they were there. Like, why? Oh,
yeah. That wonderful horror movie foreshadowing where it's like, this is oddly placed, because we all know that you would not have those pointing up. You would have those in a secure position.
Right.
Well, and like one of my immediate questions would be, why is there one dude with Jason? Like, they're in this huge ass room. Nobody's coming to that guy's aid. What did this guy do to get stuck watching Jason that close?
Right. Yeah. Well, he was chained up, James. Come on.
Yeah. Well, and that's another thing I wanted to talk about is like the military scene. They come in, they're stomping into the room thinking that they're badass because they caught Jason and he was in chains. And I'm like, okay, why would Jason allow himself? Oh, because he just wants to cut the government down, I guess. Like these guys think they're all badass because they caught him, and they don't realize that they caught him because he wanted them to catch him. Like that has to be the only reason why he's there.
Oh, I like that.
Like, how do they catch him? They couldn't keep him in chains for 5 seconds before they walked in the room.
No, because like even in Jason Goes to Hell, like they have that nice little opening where, you know, the damsel in distress is not a damsel in distress, and she leads him into, you know, basically a firing squad and gets them all blown up. But, you know, it seems like every chance they've had, it's like, oh, we're going to destroy him in this moment. But so, I mean, you got a point. Like, how would you catch Jason?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, unless he is allowing you to do it.
Because they've done all this, like she lists all the stuff that they've done to him, and he's just letting it happen. At any point in time, he could have cut all their heads off instead of just at the beginning of this movie. Like, why?
He's just entertaining himself.
Exactly.
But yeah, you have this woman who's clearly a doctor of Jasonomics and
Jasonometry.
Yeah. And then like even she, with all of her knowledge that she apparently has, as we see later, she gets stabbed by him in the most amazing way early on before we time travel, because they're putting him in the cryo chamber and he just jams the fucking machete through the fucking thing and stabs her. Like that's with
and why didn't he fucking
she
leave
knows.
Right.
But that's everything she knows. So if somebody who has clearly studied this motherfucker nonstop can be taken out that easily and miscalculate that easily, these guys who don't know him don't stand a chance.
Nope. And another question that should not be asked, because it defeats the purpose of the story. Out of all of the places on old Earth, why did they pick that spot? Like, unless I guess Professor Lowe knew that he might be there 455 years later. And why did wait 455 years later? I don't know. See, this questions that nobody should give a fuck about.
No, see, and that's such an easy answer. Wait. Like, if they'd gone looking for him and built the new center there, that would make way more sense. Yeah.
Well, you're debating that, but I'm like, why are we not debating the fact that everyone is dressed like a Skinamax actress or actor? Because
I have no reason to debate that. I was enjoying it.
No, I was too.
But it's space. I mean, it's kind of like that story about George Lucas convincing Carrie Fisher not to wear underwear or not to wear a bra. She's like, well, you know, you don't need underwear in space, right? That's something that kind of would make sense to make that type of argument. But the fact that everyone is dressed like they're gonna, you know, they're in a 90s girls group or I just found it
high school.
Yeah, it was.
Or they They went to the high school that everybody in Euphoria goes to. That's why. That's where the costume designer from Euphoria got the costumes from.
Like the two coolest costumes that make sense in this are when Sarge is in the external I guess spacesuit or whatever it is.
Oh yeah.
When he's in that, and then when Uber Jason's look. Like those are the two things that look the coolest. Everything else is kind of like this is it's almost as if they shared a budget with a sci-fi porno.
I can actually answer your question on a plot level by talking about the novel. Yay!
Oh, hotness.
So these clothes, I believe, if I remember correctly, are because Professor Lowe makes them wear these things.
Bullshit. Really?
What?
Really? Okay. So
I mean, in the comic book, he really does.
No, this is the book. Yeah. Not the comic, the actual novelization.
Okay.
So here's the thing about Professor Lowe. He faked all of his credentials.
Get the fuck out of here.
The university has found out and they're firing him. And they've decided to expel anyone who was in his classes. So he's decided Jason's worth too much and he's not going down that way. So he's going to kill everyone himself and frame Jason. And so this is the only movie where if Jason didn't come alive, everyone would have died anyway.
Get the fuck out of there. Oh,
hang on. It gets so much weirder. So, Janessa?
Yeah.
Janessa in the book is like a Kardashian, but she's super famous because she's the first genetic birth from 3 parents. I'm not making this up. This is really in the book.
Oh my gosh.
And then this is my favorite part. So in the book, they explain this massive jump in technology in only 400 years from where we are now, right?
Okay.
And the way it happened, again, I'm not making this up. This is seriously in the book, Jason X by Pat Cadigan. In the book, we made first contact with aliens, and they gave us a whole bunch of tech in exchange for marijuana.
Sorry. Oh, wow. Someone got ripped off. I'm not quite sure who it was.
And I was
I want to see this movie. No,
I was like, wouldn't it be more amazing? But wouldn't this be better if we gave them the weed and then we took their technology while they were high? That seems like it makes way more sense.
That's way more American human.
This feels like some fucking, that old story we were all told about how we traded with the Pilgrims. Now this seems like the same shit, man. So yeah.
It's taking.
So Professor Lowe made them all wear this shit. And then obviously, he's having sexual relations with all of them. And,
all of them?
Yeah, all of them. If I remember the book correctly, I believe it was the guys too. And
how does KM feel about this?
I have no idea. I don't remember that. But yeah, so
KM's not important at all. She's a robot.
And then the only other note I have here from the first book is about the Microsoft conflict. and this
beating each other with each other's limbs. I want to see that.
But this is the only thing I remember about the Microsoft conflict. And I looked it up online and I couldn't find much more than this. And it's that it was an actual war and the survivors got shares of Microsoft.
That sounds about right.
When I was watching this, I'd forgotten all about that. And they make that one slight little comment about the Microsoft conflict. And I just blew up laughing because I thought that they were going to explain it. And then they didn't at all. And I was like, oh my God, was that in the book?
Oh my goodness.
But there are 5
that got
books.
Published.
Yes.
And those got published. So that gives me great hope that I could be traditionally published if I so want to.
But so there's 5 books, okay? And like, I don't remember which one's which, but like in one of them, like they go and get the pieces of Jason where he was blasted and they like use the nano things on it and they recreate a normal Jason and then he has to fight Uber Jason. Like, I mean, this shit's just fucking crazy. And they really do the like follow up on the couple at the end that are like, let's go see what fell in the lake. And they do. And it's, of course, Jason, and he rematerializes and kills everyone. But where's my note on this? This is the best part. So the best thing in the books, there's one called Death Moon. It's Jason X Death Moon. And this one is literally a camp on the moon for wayward girls. It's Moon Camp Americana. And everything is nano stuff. So there's like nano spiders attacking them and nano enhanced zombies. And they resurrect Pamela Voorhees. And
the fuck out of here.
I think this is the one where regular Jason fights Uber Jason, but I don't know for sure. So don't hold it against me if I'm wrong. In the fifth one, the only thing I remember is that there's 3 Jasons because they built another one to fight them. And somehow the third Jason is like the smartest and the strongest. And it's just fucking nuts, man.
Oh my gosh. I know what I want for Christmas now.
And then there's comics. There's comics. The first one was written by Brian Pulido. I can never say his name correctly. I'm sorry. Who's from Tucson, actually. And he did the whole Jason versus Jason X one. And yeah, just more crazy shits. So I don't really remember those as well. I remember borrowing them from a friend a long time ago, but yeah, I don't really remember the comics. So check them out if you can find them and send me links if you find them, because I'd love to see them again.
Hotness.
So there's my insanity of the other books to answer your question about why they dress that way, Don.
Thank you.
You didn't expect to learn something today, did you?
Yeah, but I want to know why KM dresses that way.
Right.
Because Cinnamon is a man. So
nice.
That's it. That's it. I also love the fact that in 2 years' time, hockey will be banned.
Yes.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Sorry, hockey.
Really, I'm depressed about it. I do love hockey, but I'll survive.
It's probably because of Jason. Jason's probably the one that got it. You know,
maybe this is the Jason on Ice story.
Oh, Jason on Ice. I want to write that right now. Let's edit that out of the episode. No.
Yes.
Don't steal my ideas, people. Jason on Ice coming your way.
Well, you've heard of this tweet, right? Like, or whatever it was, where the guy came up with the idea of like, my pitch for a movie or the next Friday the 13th is Jason goes to a hockey game, kills the goalie, and the team sees him kill the goalie, but then they have to rush out to the ice to play, and and he kills people in his downtime from the games, but the team doesn't tell on him because he's such a good goalie. I butchered the pitch, but that,
my head is doing the confused dog thing, going.
Nice.
I want to see it though. I will pay money to see it though.
I always pitch my short film with Uber Jason. It's Jason as an Uber driver, and he just kills people. But like my final girl escapes, and she manages to get a lift. And when she gets in, it's the guy from Final Destination, and he's listening to John Denver. So,
oh God.
In reality, though, I don't know if you guys have seen it, but the crew that made Never Hike Alone, it's a fanfic Jason short film on YouTube. Fucking amazing. Like all of their films are so good. Oh my God.
Never Hike Alone.
Yeah.
Where's my girl in Panthers?
It's Womp Stomp Films, and they make a lot of good stuff, but they have a couple Jason films they've done and some other stuff. Check them out. But Never Hike Alone is legitimately a great Jason movie. So it's like 20 minutes long too.
Hotness. That is my phrase for the night. It's hotness. You can call me Hotness Everdeen.
Jason in the snow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Here it is. Okay. Movie idea. Jason Voorhees kills a guy who it turns out is an actual goalie. His team sees Jason, assumes he's their teammate. Jason has a new career. Jason turns out to be really good. So his team starts hiding all the murders he's committing. Friday the 13th, Jason on Ice.
And here I was going to be an idiot. Here I was going to be an idiot and have him dance and stuff to music, but
only during the halftime show.
I guess my Jason on Ice isn't as good, but I was picturing him doing that spin around really fast thing with like the machete out, So
wow.
Oh, so he's not actually killing people on the ice in this pitch.
Yeah, he could be.
He should be. He should be.
Hey, ref, you better make the right call.
Exactly. Exactly. Oh my gosh. No, if it's called Jason on ice, he should be cutting bitches on the ice. Not.
Can you picture that? He would just like grab one of the other hockey players and spin them in the air, and then their skates would stick out, slicing people.
Yes.
I want to see this movie.
And then the Zamboni comes out and cleans out the blood after each period. Yes.
Yes. Oh, that's amazing.
Yes.
And they refreeze it so the whole ice is just red, but it's
instead of a t-shirt toss, the fans get like a dismembered body part.
An arm flying through the air.
Because I want the bloody jersey. So. Yes, I want the bloody jersey.
Amazing. I'm down for this.
I have this.
Yeah. What do you got?
So I got this note. How do we get off the ship? The shuttle. The shuttle we conveniently forgot about until just now. The shuttle. Like that should have been their first move. Bitches turning up dead. Let's get to the fucking shuttle.
Mm-hmm. As opposed to driving the spaceship into what was it?
Solaris.
Solaris. Instead of driving it into it, and I guess technically Jason gets all those kills too. So how many thousand people were there?
I actually was wondering that because like they put the official count at, I think it's like 122 or something like that. But I'm like, he should have gotten all of those points easily.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, kill by proxy. It was vehicular manslaughter. That's what that was.
I mean, plus it's my favorite Jason actor, so he deserves the most kills. So.
I before watching Jason X this time around, I was watching one of those documentaries that Shudder has about the big bads, Chucky, Freddy, whatnot, and I never really understood why people cared who played Jason, and so when Kane Hodder's name came up, I'm like, okay. Cool. I mean, he's a Jason, whatever. Since this is the only Jason movie I've seen at that point, and then I'm watching it today, and I'm like, oh my god, Kane is amazing. Like, all he needs to do, he's acting with an eye, one eye.
Mm-hmm. Oh my god, the eye is so good.
Everything that he's thinking. The first scene he's in, all you have to do, he just looks at that guy like, I will cut you, and I'm going to enjoy it from that one eye move. And I'm like, okay.
Well, and even like his eye narrows that little bit and changes emotion. And I was like, holy shit. But yeah, Kane's always been the one who like I call it acting without speaking because I don't have like a proper term for it if there is one. But like he added like the deep breathing that Jason does, which just makes him look so much more imposing. And like he's always been a big believer like Jason shouldn't be fast because that's what's creepy about it. Right. And I 100%ly agree. Like it's like he exudes a confidence that none of the others do, even the other ones that I like. But yeah, Kane should just always be Jason.
And he's the best actor out of everybody on this movie, hands down.
Yeah.
Wait. You mean he's better than Dollar Store Howard Stern?
Yeah, I think so. So I don't know how familiar you guys are with the Canadian actors and all the TV shows that are made up there. But being a sci-fi nerd, when I saw this, I just kind of geeked out because the actress who plays Rowan, Lexa Doig, she was on that show with Kevin Sorbo, Andromeda, where she was the android. And then the actress Lisa Ryder, who plays KM, is also on that show where she's an actual human on that show. And I thought that was hilarious. They got to swap roles in this movie.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
And another sci-fi nerdy thing, Lexa Doig is married to Michael Shanks, who is Daniel Jackson in the Stargate SG-1 series. And the guy who plays Sunron is a background actor on Stargate SG-1. His character is eventually named Chuck. Either he's on SG-1 or he's on Stargate Atlantis. He's on one of those two.
Oh, wow. That is cool.
Yeah. Stuff that nobody else but me cares about. But
no,
yeah,
I always find stuff like that interesting, especially like this, where they went the sci-fi route. So bringing in other sci-fi people, like that's kind of interesting. Like, then I wonder, like, was it a marketing thing, or like, was it a total coincidence, or it was just somebody knew somebody, or what? You know, that's the behind the scenes shit I care about. So you want to talk about not mattering? Mine is way weirder. Like,
all right,
is
show
it
me
a
the
story
receipt.
if somebody had lunch together? You know,
How random is that? Well, because it had to. They must have filmed this movie in Vancouver because that's where all of these actors are from.
oh, nice, yeah. I don't know where it was filmed. That's very possible, though.
Yeah, I was just looking up some of the stuff, like, you know, even
Toronto.
The box office
Toronto.
was pretty slim.
Yeah.
Which, you know, it's I don't know. It seemed to have hit that period around late 90s, early 2000s. You were getting a lot of new horror. And I think this was their attempt. I mean, this is my assumption. This was their attempt of giving a new, I'll just go ahead and say it, a new face to Jason.
Right.
Without having to go the route of some of the other movies where you don't have to reinvent anything. You don't have to create a brand new story. All you have to do is put Jason in a different situation.
Yep.
Right. So it's not like a remake requel.
Right. Because I think, what is it, 8 years after this, the reboot adaptation, whatever comes out, where, you know,
right,
Jason's protecting his weed.
Oh yeah, the reboot.
See, the only thing about that reboot I remember is Jared Padalecki, and barely that. Barely that.
I love the reboot. Derek is my second favorite Jason, actually. So there you go. But no, we always come back to we did an episode on the reboot, and we were talking about how it's all about people trying to take Jason's weed. And so when I was refreshing myself on the books, I was like, oh my God, the weed thing, because we give it to the aliens, right? And so then I was like, see, you could have just built these together and we give the aliens the weed. And Jason's like, what the fuck? That's my weed.
Yeah, that would be the first time he ever speaks. He's like, what the fuck are you doing with my weed?
That'd be so great.
Really
That's
now?
all he says. Just that's my weed.
My name is Jason Voorhees. You took my weed. Prepare to die. So now, the one thing I noticed about this movie, which I didn't notice at the time when I first watched it, but I'm going to make it about race. Trigger warning, I'm about to make it about race. All right. So I want to start a thesis. If I ever went to film school, I want to start a thesis about the roles Black people play in horror movies.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, we all used to joke that, oh, well, if there's a Black guy in a movie, they're going to die first. And then they stop dying first, but they die right before the end credits. And Jason X is part of this movement where they don't necessarily die first, and they both kind of die right before the end credits, but they do the noble sacrifices now. We're gonna die protecting these white people, and then we're heroes now. So we served a purpose. Our sacrifices, our token sacrifice will not be in vain, sort of thing. And so when I was making the notes about in the movie, like I wrote down how far into the movie the first Black guy shows up and the second Black guy shows up and how long it takes them to die. I scribbled it out when I found out that Brodsky was fake dead. He was still living. Like, oh, subverted expectations. Yes. And then he still died anyway. I got my hopes up for that one.
Well, in my mind, at least what's canon for me, I didn't read the novelizations. What's canon for me is that Sergeant Brodsky surfed or body surfed Jason onto Earth 2 and was able to survive because you got this spacesuit that I guess is supposed to withstand all these temperatures, because Jason X, Uber Jason, didn't have the protection.
But he's Jason. He didn't. We cut his head off and he still survived. So like, re-entry is not going to kill him.
No. I mean, as far as like his the tissue and everything, was burned up. But I mean, as far as the suit that Sergeant Brodsky was wearing, I like to think that, it protected him, and maybe he landed on Earth too, and it's like, oh, he's gone, he's dead, Jason's gone, and just went about his life, and then then the murders began.
And that's when the argument began.
And then Jason attacked. So, and that was one of those times where also, if there was more than one black guy in a movie, one of them was going to have to die.
Mm-hmm.
And most of those horror movies that came out around that time, if one of the black people was a rapper and they had a song on the soundtrack, they definitely survived the movie.
Why?
I know a couple of movies like that.
Film recently.
Except for I don't know. Did Busta get it in one of the Halloween movies? Who's in it? Is it Busta Rhymes?
He lives, doesn't he?
I can't remember. I know like Ice Cube makes it in Anaconda. LL makes it, of course, in Deep Blue Sea.
Blue Sea. Rod Digga makes it in 13 Ghosts.
Oh fuck yeah, that's right, because she does the weird mixing of the
Yeah. So that's what I figured. Samuel Jackson, if he had a song on the soundtrack, he would have survived Deep Blue Sea as well.
That's how it happens.
Okay. Now
have to have the soundtrack.
Gotta have the soundtrack. Okay, so nipples?
Oh man, I was hoping to talk about this.
This is not a Joel Schumacher movie.
Yeah. So I just love this idea that the Pinocchio complex that KM has with being a real girl, down to the point where she has to have nipples that just don't work.
Right.
Like, that is a fascinating narrative that I really want to go deeper into. Normally, I don't care about titties in movies, but like this one was just, I've never seen anything like it. Outside of Total Recall, the cat lady with 3 boobs.
Right.
And the fake boob in Mallrats, where that lady had like a third nipple that just happened to be a sticker. Like, this is like the best, like, nipple play? Nipple. I just want to see nipples, okay? I have no real thesis behind this, just nipples.
Well, and she clearly doesn't know that if she gets these nipples, then Professor Lowe is just gonna, want to use tools on them and himself. And
right.
There's a lot of nipple stuff going on in this film. But no, I love how good the I don't know, CGI or practical effects or whatever they used here. It looks great when her nipples just fall the fuck off, and you're like, "Whoa, what?" Like.
I think I was the only one in the theater that laughed when that happened.
The rest of us were horrified. No,
it's the worst nightmare. Nipples just falling off.
You know how you make 5 pounds of fat beautiful? Stick a nipple on it.
Exactly.
You know who told me that joke? My father. So
nice. Way to go.
That's why I constantly stick nipples all over myself. Anyway, this is really developing into a conversation I should have with my therapist. So,
Dr.
all
Nipple?
of us.
That's the one. How'd you know?
Uh-huh.
Oh, man. So I got to say, this thing that Professor Lowe, and I don't remember which woman he hooked up with was, but
Vanessa.
Okay, thank you. Like the big clamp thing, I'm like, there's got to be better ways to do this.
Right.
Like there's better ways
forceps?
now. Like there's better ways now, and this is 450 years from now. There's got to be a better way.
Maybe he's into old school kink.
Jeez.
I mean, if there's a reason why he makes the students dress like that, there's got to be a reason why he makes her use that.
That's true.
Like, I found this at the Dollar Tree. It turned me on. Use this, and you'll get an A.
Oh man, it looked like something from like a blacksmithery thing. You know, like you'd hold like the hot metal with this thing. I don't know.
Right.
Like, what is happening here?
Well, I just thought, does he birth babies with that?
It's a little Jason baby.
Or toss salads with it? Ooh,
Maybe.
in all senses of the word. About that Microsoft conflict. Other images I have in my head.
Oh man, I just downloaded. Anyway, so
oh, that reminds me of my favorite. One of my favorite lines is when KM comes out wearing that badass like dominatrix outfit, and Sunaman is like, "Oh, I gave her an upload." I'm like, "Oh, I bet you did." Conveniently, right after you wanted to see if you could make it 100%. Oh, I bet he did.
I'm surprised he didn't turn to the camera and give a big wink, you know, like, because they have so many one-liners that are clearly for the audience. Like, you would think they would just break the fourth wall for that too.
You should have given the wink and the thumbs up on that one.
Yeah, you mentioned the one-liners earlier, Don. What were your favorite ones?
God. Well, the ones that you typically expect. My favorite one is still Sergeant Brodsky, where it's like, it's going to take more than that to kill this old dog. And he gets stuck to singing, yep, that'll do it.
I love that one. I love that one so much.
It never gets old because it's a throwback, but it's everybody in the movie. Like, we're not going to take ourselves too seriously with this movie.
Exactly.
Like, this is not high art. This is not, we're not shooting for an Oscar or a BAFTA or anything like that. We're gonna make a fun movie, a fun, stupid movie that people are gonna enjoy, and people are gonna be talking about 21 years later.
Right. It just feels like such a Mel Brooks moment,
Yeah.
Oh, yep, that'll do it.
This sucks on so many levels. Yes, that was the best one. I think Vanessa gets most of the one-liners, the zingers that I really enjoyed. That one, this sucks on so many different levels. Please don't ruin my pants.
I love that. That's so ridiculous. It was great.
Like, oh, some guy's running around stabbing people in the gut and the face, but don't ruin my pants, okay?
Right.
We'll probably all be dead by the end of the day, and I won't have the pants anyway. But
let's see here. Besides our very favorite one-liner, James, what is yours?
Mine was also Sergeant, whatever his name is. I love that one so much.
I like the, I'm pretty bitchy when I wake up. I was like, did you just wake up?
I was like, damn, dude.
Damn.
Like, what is this, the USS misogyny over here?
Right. Well, and here's the thing about that is usually the banter between the two of them, I found is usually reverse, where she comes up to him and she's like, I know you want me. Why don't you just admit it? And he's like, I could never be with a girl whose balls are bigger than mine. And she's like, ew. I'm like, okay, good for you. And what had happened was, here's another thing that I noticed about this movie, speaking of misogyny, is that all the guys in this movie are pretty much limp noodles when it comes to trying to do any kind of damage to Jason.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But the only person that really fucks him up was KM. Like, she's the only one that did anything to him. She blew his fucking head off. And with the same weapons all the other dudes had.
Right.
So like, how is that even possible?
She got an upgrade, man.
So that upload was pretty damn powerful. So would Sunaman take credit for that, or should KM take credit for that? So I like the fact. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I still think their math is off about 100% chance of surviving this. So,
right. Only because she was getting some.
I don't see how that raises your odds. It seems like it would do the direct opposite.
Well, you got to do the whole thing where, we're all going to die. Let's have sex right now because everything will turn out right later. Or is it the mindset of, we're probably never get a chance to do this again. So let's just bump uglies and then see if we live afterwards.
I use that line all the time. It does not work as much as you would think. I just wanted everybody out there to know that.
Well, you also have to factor this in. If no one had sex, Jason wasn't coming back because he didn't, arise from the dead until he heard the two of them having sex.
Right.
The guy hates sex.
I know.
So much. So do I. When other people are having it and not me.
Maybe that's what it's always been about. Maybe that's
Jason's
what it's always
the giant
been about.
incel.
He's an incel. Maybe that's what it is. Because even he seems tormented, like when the virtual reality girls, or what would he, augmented reality, I guess would be the other one.
Yeah.
But when they're like, "Hi, do you want to drink beers with us, or maybe smoke some weed? How about we have some premarital sex?" Which again,
we love premarital sex. That's just my favorite line.
A funny moment because again, they're making fun of themselves and like, we're not going to take this shit seriously. Like, have fun with this movie. But the fact that he seems like so upset about it, it's like, ooh, I'm gonna zip you up in this in this
like, haven't you ever just wanted to take a couple of teenage? Right. He's living out my dream of taking two teenage girls and beating them with their own sleeping bags, with them inside it. Who hasn't wanted to do that?
Look, after we've all seen that take place, we've all had that same thought. Like, how could I pull this off?
Hey.
I love that they got away with making the holodeck and not calling it that, and nobody fucking cared. Nobody was like, "Oh, we have to sue you. We have trademarks, blah, 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 blah." No. And two, everyone knows the holodeck is for porn. And they were able to make the holodeck for porn. And that's amazing.
Holodeck is for porn. The holodeck is for porn.
And then on top of all of that, this is just my favorite scene in the whole fucking film, because this kill, this is like the greatest kill ever to me. So he does it in 7, like I said earlier, but it's one sleeping bag, and I think it's against a tree.
Right.
He picks her up and slams her into the tree. And so the taking it a step further and using one of them as the weapon in order to kill both, that's fucking ingenious. I want to write a death on this level. I want an iconic death writing like this. Right.
This is a scene that I look up to when I write my horror movies and horror stories. Yep. Like, I always have this scene in the back of my mind. Like, how could I write something worthy of that?
It's amazing.
I don't think I've managed to do it. I don't think I have.
There was one death I wanted to write, and it would have been in my first book, but then I played the game Mafia 3, and they put the death in that game, and I was like, "You sons of bitches!" Oh, this was going to be so awesome. It was basically, I mean, it's if spoiler for anybody who hasn't played Mafia 3, but it takes place in Louisiana. And the protagonist, the character you play, is a black Vietnam vet, and he gets screwed over by some of the local criminals and white supremacists and stuff. So there's at one point in the game where, I guess in the story part or whatever, after you capture this guy, you time to a cross that the Klan was going to burn. You time to a cross, stand the cross up, and set it on fire. And I was like, that was what I was going to do in this book. And now I can't use it.
No. Sure you can.
Well, I'll do something.
Still do it.
I'll do something similar in something else I'm working on. But it was just so well done. I'm like, I can't top this. I can't top it by doing it the same way. But yeah, it was wonderful, because that was, every time I've seen one of those crosses, like in a film, documentary, or whatever, I'm like, man, it'd just be so great to tie one of those Klansmen to one or somebody like that, and I would love to see that in a movie.
A death similar to that one was in Final Destination 4, I think.
Oh yeah, with the racist and the tow truck.
Right. Yeah. Did they put him on the cross and then drag him, or did they just drag him?
He was, because it was the tow hitch thing.
Mm-hmm.
It lit up like a cross, And then he got dragged on the street while he was chained to it or something. I just watched it a couple of weeks ago.
Nice.
I love that series.
Me too. I love it. I love all of them. What a phallic-sized gun. What do I? Sorry, this is just a note that I have here. Only with a phallic-sized gun can Rowan feel empowered to lead. That is what I wrote. How do you feel about that?
Interesting. I mean, I think that there's something to be said for what you said earlier about how she's following rules.
Mm-hmm.
And like if she's this is me analyzing the film. These are not my beliefs, but if she thinks she's like, knowing her role, so to speak, at the beginning with these people and staying in her lane or whatever you want to say,
mm-hmm.
then when she gets to this new place, that wouldn't change. Like the time for her is like a day.
Right.
So like she'd still be in that mindset of this isn't my place. Like I have to do what they say. But as she's watching them, she'd be like, these stupid motherfuckers.
Right.
And so I think she'd get to a point where she realizes she has to save herself. And with that, I do think that the gun makes a difference because it's a weapon, a tool, whatever to help her. But I'm fascinated by what you just said because I hadn't looked at it in that way. I was looking at it as she's finally stepping up and not listening to others.
Well, Lowe's demise definitely creates that power vacuum that he was occupying stupidly. Now that he's gone, now it's just like, all right, cool. Well, now I'm in charge. So I'm going to use this big ass fucking gun to make shit happen.
Well, and we got to remember the rest are students for the most part. So, they're not going to
40-year-old actors playing students again. Yeah.
Well, but in fairness, they were 35 and playing in high school. So
right.
It just makes good sense. So, but yeah, I like that you said the power vacuum thing. That makes a ton of sense. I didn't even think about how his death influences that, but that's totally true.
Yeah, because I was thinking earlier, because with the military, she's like, I'm in charge here, and they're basically like, no, you're not. I went above your head, so now it's me. I get to do all the things, and you have to sit there and do whatever it is you do over there with the breasts. And then they all died, and then once they were out of the way, she was free to enact her plan to lock him up. Mm-hmm. Same way here in the space. Once the professor was dispatched, there was no one else to lead them except for her. Like she was not willing, but she was finally able to do what she should have been doing from the get-go.
Right.
And I really like that. But I also feel like that was pretty much wasted for the rest of the film. She really doesn't do anything else.
I mean, you kind of reach a point where nobody can do anything, though.
Anything, right.
There is that one movement. There is that one moment where she saves Sunaran where she actually, Jason's coming down with the machete. She grabs his arm so he and KM can get away. But yeah, I mean, you have this one moment where you kind of expect that she's going to have the same moment like KM does with the blaster gun, whatever. And yeah, you really don't get it.
But would she? And here's the thing that goes around in my head: like, as much as I would have loved for her to have that moment, since I bet you she was the one that led the charge on how to capture Jason in the first place. Like, I would have loved to have that face off. Like, this is your fault, bitch.
Right.
I'm going to get you most of all, and your little dog too. But would that have really been realistic in this setting? She's in a setting that she's unfamiliar with people she's unfamiliar with. Yesterday, she had just been stabbed like a fish. So, and now she's in space. I don't know if she would have had the wherewithal to be able to do all that. And was it necessary for the story? I mean, I still enjoyed it.
Yeah, because it wasn't a thing of, this, I don't want to say redemption arc. It wasn't an issue where Jason had been hunting her and her family down, and she's the last one, and she has to, get revenge on him. But I don't know. I mean, it was an interesting way to include her, but you also have this moment where, again, she wasn't listened to in the past. She's not being listened to in the future or in the present, I guess, which has so many layers to it.
So many. So many.
I don't know. I think from a writing standpoint that it makes sense exactly as it is. And I kind of like that they did this because no matter how good you are as a human, you're limited against him. Like that's always been the case. And then you bring in the android and we're like, oh, she's going to make the save, right? Because she's evolved past a human and now she got the new download. and so you think like this is the person that's going to stop him. This is the final girl, or at least she's going to be the one that creates a way to save people, right? Mm-hmm. And she does. She blows his fucking head off, and yay, Jason's dead. And only she could have done this, apparently, and that makes so much sense. And then guess what? Your technology fucking brings him back better than ever. And now you're royally fucked because even she can't stop him. And I think that progression of how dangerous Jason is what brings us to what they have to do. Like the only thing left to do is to get him out of the fucking ship.
Right.
And that's the only way you can defeat him at this point, because that's the only weapon left is space itself. And that's fucking phenomenal to me. And one of the reasons that I get mad when people just shit on this film, because I don't think they're looking at story arc progression, because why would you? It's a Jason film, right? Mm-hmm. But it's there. It's unnecessarily there.
I am very upset that it only has 19% on Rotten Tomatoes and only 25% audience approval. I'm like, what were they really expecting?
Yeah.
They wanted an art house movie featuring Jason.
This doesn't even compare to Shawshank Redemption. I don't know what's going on here. The dialogue's iffy.
This is nothing like Gravity with Sandra Bullock. She was in space, and then George Clooney's character came back and talked to her and helped her get to the space station so she could get back to Earth.
I will bet you that 50% of those votes never saw the film. They just went, Jason in space, that's stupid.
Well, it did better than Black Dawn.
Not taking that bait. Nope.
So yeah, no, I think it can't be that bad if it's better than Black Dawn. That's all I'm saying. Silence of the Lambs.
Oh my.
All right. What?
Yes.
Another moment that I really liked was when they first revive Rowan. First thing she does is punches Professor Lowe without even knowing why he's a fuck up. Just Betty, it seems to be the most karmic thing ever. You're going to deserve this later. I don't know how or why, but you're going to deserve this.
It'd be so great if she was like, "You seem like an asshole."
You're the reason why we're all going to die.
It's true. Sad day.
Yeah, that definitely is one of those moments where you look at it and like you just can point out the asshole.
He's got a pretty punchable face, so yeah.
He does.
Definitely. Like I'm so glad he got cut the way he did. Oh, he just wanted his machete back.
Guys, he just wanted it.
Woo! So glad that's over. Now we can get back to our natural lives.
And you're dead.
Like, just how disillusioned do you have to be at that moment, or how clueless do you have to be where it's like, yeah, he just wanted machete. Here you go. I just imagine how confused Jason was. He's just like, you're just gonna give me the fucking machete. Like,
well, and what was his plan? Like, if your plan is to fucking sell Jason, you're just gonna leave him out? He's just going to hang out with you on the rest of the trip until you get there? What the fuck is this guy's plan? How is he turning Jason over? Like, nothing about this makes sense to me.
Well, remember, like, he was in like a quote unquote dead state. So it made sense initially, but then after that, it's kind of like, yeah, I mean, you have a point. It's
no, I mean after the machete thing. He wanted his machete. Like,
no, I'm
have
saying,
a plan.
I'm saying up to that point, like it. When he has Jason there as a dead specimen, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
It makes perfect sense to bring him back. Like, what use are you going to have, right? But once he is moving around and doing everything, yeah, your point is completely valid. As your
weird.
plan is done at this point. Like, there's nothing to salvage. There's nothing that you could do because, as Rowan says, like he's just a killing machine. He's going to keep going and get rid of him, throw him out into space.
He didn't listen to her, so he's like, okay, cool. So like maybe we can get in this together. 60-40. Like This guy has no reason for living other than killing people. So what makes you think that money is going to entice him to not slit your throat like a thing that has a throat to be slit? And yeah, reasoning just no.
I would just love for him to have tried to strike a deal with Jason. Like, look, bro, I understand you're a little upset right now. You're waking up from you're waking up from a nap. Anything we can do for you, buddy, pal?
Can I get you some milk or something?
Some little chicken nuggets?
Some weed?
Don't touch my weed.
Oh yeah, that weed would have been the wrong word to use at that moment.
It would have been like sloth Jason, with break.
In the weeds.
Break. Fall.
It's terrible because he kind of looks like sloth.
Yes.
Damn.
You see what I was doing there.
Oh my god! Now somebody fucking make me a meme of Jason without his mask yelling, "Hey, you guys!" I'll fucking put that shit on a t-shirt and wear it to con.
Me too. I will do that. So
wrong. It's great.
So this movie has inspired me to make a sequel to a book that I not vowed, but said that there wouldn't be a sequel to.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a book called Zombie Hospital of the Damned Part 3.
Nice.
Because there is no parts 1 and 2, but they are referenced in the book.
Fantastic.
But my mom loved that book so much. She begged me to write a sequel. And I'm just like, I don't see where I could go from this movie. I don't know where I can go from here. They're in a hospital full of zombies. They were trapped in it. And the book ended. I'm not quite sure where I can go from there.
Space.
Space.
Yes.
Every franchise has to go to space eventually. And
that's right.
If there are 3 books, quote unquote, in this series, there's got to be one in space. So, Mom, this is for you. I'm going to work on it. Zombies are going to space, Mom.
Exactly.
So how does this compare to the other franchises that has gone to space? Like did
Leprechaun in space.
Leprechaun in space, exactly. Hellraiser went to space. Like, out of those movies, where do you think this one fits? How do you think this one fares against those movies?
Ooh.
I actually haven't seen those, so I'm not sure.
Well, you need to want to go see those.
I saw Leprechaun in the Hood because it was on. And I was like, what the fuck is going on here? And that kind of killed my desire to watch any more Leprechaun movies after that. But I've heard things about the Leprechaun in space.
Didn't Critters go to space?
Well, I thought Critters was always in space.
No, Critters was, I think they came from space, but I don't know if Critters were actually in space.
Oh no, that's what I mean as far as like they came from space, but I thought there were some scenes where they were.
No, I think I want to say the 4th one they go to space.
Ooh.
Like the whole movie takes place there. Yeah, I think so.
Okay. I'm going to have to check that out. So I've only seen, I saw Leprechaun in space by accident in 6th grade because we had one of those Channel 1 televisions in our classroom, and it only came on during Channel 1 news. But I guess you could just watch whatever on there, and it just came on. It was the middle of social studies, and the TV came on, and Leprechaun in Space was on, and we all just stopped social studying and watched the movie.
Right.
Like, okay, because there was nothing we could do. We couldn't turn it off. We had no control of the TV. So if there were boobies on the screen, well, I guess we're going to have to talk about that later, kids. And then I saw Bloodlines. That's the Hellraiser one in space.
Yes.
And that was pretty cool. Like, I don't think enough people give it credit. I thought it was pretty cool. Space is always really interesting to me. So anything that doesn't belong in space and you put it in space, it's going to be a fun time.
I'm going to disagree with you and say Dracula 3000. And anyone out there who's seen Dracula 3000 knows there's nothing fun about it. It's just a vampire in space, because in space there is no daylight. And that's as fun as it gets.
Oh, wow. I did not know that existed.
Damn.
So I'm going to have to watch that so I can stand corrected.
Or you can just come back and tell me why I'm wrong. I'm open to that. You can be like, no, it was fucking great. You're ridiculous.
So our love of Jason X brought us together, but our disagreement over Dracula 3000 was what's going to tear us apart.
Everybody has something.
I don't think I'll allow that to happen, James. I don't think that. Oh, wow. Well, is there anything else we could talk about this movie, how great it is? I don't know if we sold everybody on how great this movie is.
I mean, I will just literally say that there is nothing worse about this to me. Like, once you get past where it's set, there's nothing worse about this than a lot of the other Jason movies. I would rank this in like the top 3. That's maybe 4. My top 4 Jason movies. I love this movie. I think there's a couple that are a little better told and really hone in on Jason, but there's some real shit ones. And Jason X is not the worst. And anyone who says so either didn't see it or they're lying to themselves about what they love about Jason.
Love yourselves more. Love yourselves more.
There you go.
Because I totally get it. I totally understand the eye rolling that happened as soon as people found out that Jason was in space. You could hear those eye rolls in space. And
in space, you can't hear the eye rolls.
No. The amount of eye rollage that happened, like, I mean, I want to be a fly on that wall when somebody pitched this movie, and then somebody said okay to it. Like, God bless them, but like 2001 me would have been like, oh my God, really? Seriously? They'll just make movies about anything.
Right.
And if my friend Ruben had not bribed me into seeing it with him, because he paid for the ticket, that was the only way I would agree to go see this with him. He paid for the ticket. Yeah, I would have totally believed that this would have been utter complete shit. And it is, but it's a great pile. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, it's not a good movie. It's not a great movie. It's not a terrible movie. It's amazing, and I love it.
It's a movie that delivers exactly what it says it's going to deliver.
Exactly.
And it does so very well. And yeah, like, sure, maybe some of the performances could be a little stronger or whatever, but that's all bullshit. Nobody came to this for amazing performances or great dialogue. Nobody was like, oh, is this going to be on my Oscar watch? I don't know. You know, like, no. So it's fucking bullshit when people say that.
Yeah.
Well, it's almost about being pretentious at that point of like, oh, well, you watched that.
Yeah.
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 I want more insane movies like this.
Exactly. Like, I mean, you got to
preferably set at Moon Camp Americana.
Yeah, no, I think we need more movies like this out there. I mean, I think Jason X walked so that Hobo with a Shotgun could run.
Hell yeah.
Right? I mean, yeah. Exactly what it says on the 10. Exactly what it says on the 10. We need more movies like that.
I've got trivia for you.
Oh, hit us. Hit us.
Oh my God.
Bring it.
Okay. Adrian, your favorite death in the movie, the
Sure,
liquid
yeah.
nitrogen.
Mm-hmm.
She was the wheelchair girl in White Chicks.
What?
Yeah. Once you go black, you need a wheelchair. And I will never forget that scene where she rolls up in the wheelchair at the garden party. I'm like,
oh wow.
It's like, hi, Latrell. And they just pushes her.
Can you imagine if you could like splice these two together and Jason slams her into the liquid nitrogen and then breaks her face, and then somebody's like, see, black don't crack. See,
wow.
There you go. I had to do it just to see your reaction.
And I'm so glad there's not a week that goes by that I don't say that line.
Look, black don't crack, Asian don't raisin.
Ooh. But when it do, it does. Yeah, well, I always tell people that when they are surprised to learn that I'm 40 years old, they kind of do that, damn.
Uh-huh.
And they're like, and you don't look 40 at all. You look like you're late 20s. I'm like, I know, black don't crack. Unless you do crack badly.
Yeah.
So badly. So badly.
All right. So I believe that we're ready to move on to the movie recommendations.
Okay.
Unless anybody's got anything else to say.
Nope.
All right.
Let's do it.
So Cameron, do you have any movies that people should watch if they liked this film?
I think Hobo with a Shotgun would be a good movie. If you're looking for something that's completely outrageous, but also gives you exactly what it says on the 10, Hobo with a Shotgun. I think that's it.
I think that's a great one. What should I go with? This is a hard one to do a double feature with because I don't think anything truly rolls with this that I've seen. There's probably stuff out there.
Was I supposed to keep it within the same genre?
No. You can do anything you want.
Because if I can backtrack, then I would say Hellraiser Bloodlines.
Nice.
It is basically the same. It's not as goofy. It does take itself way more seriously than it has any right to, but I think it was still a rollicking good time.
All right. I think I got mine. I'm going to go with Eight-Legged Freaks.
Oh,
I think that would be fun with this. Okay. I don't know. Yeah. It's another one that's like ridiculous and yet fun and amazing. So there you go. All right, Don, give us your
7.
10.
I have 7.
Your
I have
X.
7. I have 7.
I don't want
7?
your VII. I want your X.
I know you do. Anyway,
not that X.
I would go with Freddy versus Jason because, again, that movie did not take itself seriously. And my favorite line from that movie is when Freddy sees Kelly Rowland's like, dark meat.
Oh my God.
I
saw that in the
it.
theater.
I was in the movie. I lost it when he said that. I was like, oh, dark meat. But Urban Legend, Aliens, House of Wax, Virus, Species, and I cannot have this list without including Predator.
All right.
I'm going to be greedy. I'm going to toss a couple more in there.
Do it.
Sharknadoes. All the Sharknadoes.
Oh, yes. Damn it.
All the Sharknadoes. I finally have all 6. I haven't seen the last 2, but they're awfully fun.
Party at Cameron's. We're watching all 6.
Yes. And You Might Be the Killer.
Ooh.
Have you heard
I haven't even heard of this. No, what is it?
I thought you were accusing me of something.
Yes, well, that too. You Might Be the Killer is it takes the camp counselor horror movie trope and kind of spins it on its head. It was created by 2 Twitter authors, Sam Sykes and Chuck Wendig.
Mm-hmm.
It was a total like obliteration thread of a conversation between Sam and Chuck going, oh my gosh, I'm at this camp and all these kids are turning up dead. And Chuck is like, well, how do you know the killer isn't you? Well, it's just this back and forth conversation. Well, this happened at this place with the people and did the thing. And they made a movie out of it where it's got Allison Hannigan as Chuck and Fran Kranz as Sam, who is relating his adventures at the camp, and like he's scared that all these kids are turning up dead and he doesn't know how he keeps surviving. And Chuck was like, maybe you're the killer. It's like, what? It's hilarious. It's amazing. I can't say enough good things about it, but it's amazing. So You Might Be the Killer is the name of the movie.
Very cool. I'm going to do something ridiculous that I've never done and throw out a book recommendation while I'm at it. And that would be Killer Be Killed by William Sterling, one of my good friends. I got an advanced copy of the book and I absolutely loved it. And go check it out. All right.
Hotness.
So that brings it back to you, Cameron. You want to tell everybody where they can find you online, buy your books, whatever.
Oh, yes. Excellent. You can
order you a pizza, whatever.
Oh, order me a pizza. I'm so hungry right now. You have no idea. So you can find me on Facebook at Cameron Blackwell Books. Facebook.com, CameronBlackwell.books. God, I cannot speak. That is not what you're supposed to do. Facebook.com/Cameron Blackwell Books. Okay. You can find me on Twitter at C Blackwell Books. And you can find my books at, man, I'm really full of myself. Everything has my name on it.
It should. That's how it works.
Yeah, that's how it works. CameronBlackwellBooks.square.site. That's SITE site.
Excellent. All right. So I suppose that wraps it up for another week. Cameron, thank you for stopping by and talking about one of my favorite films.
Thank you for having me. I had a wonderful time.
Absolutely. And we will be back next week. As always, I am James Sabata.
And joke's on you. The two black guys made it to the end of the episode.
We'll see you next week here at thenecronama.com.